when it comes to marketing, branding, I always tell people, look, if you're not already good at what you're doing, marketing it will only make more people know you're bad at what you're doing.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another amazing episode of the Everything is Influence podcast, where on each and every episode, we take an amazing guest and we go through the 4 levels of influence, how we influence ourselves, what ultimately creates a human, gets us to this place in our lives. How do we see the process of influence? How do we transfer that to other people? And at the highest level of influences, which is where we're going to start, what are we up to in the world? Like, how do we actually take our thoughts, our ideas, our values, and implant those into other people for the benefit of their lives when we're not there, through sales, through marketing, through business? And so without any further ado, I want to welcome my guest, Mr. Paul Getter. How are you, sir?
Eli, I am awesome. Thank you very much for having me here, bro. I'm honored to be a part of this.
Very cool. So we're going to, start off with level 4 influence, which is ultimately, what are you doing today? And I know you've worked with some huge names, the biggest names, big celebrities. How do you see the process of influence? Because as it relates to business, you got to have sales, got to have marketing. It's these visual images, pictures, videos through the ether to land in people's phones and ultimately influence people's thoughts and ideas to move in a certain direction. And you've been so pivotal in the orchestration of these campaigns, these brands, to help them make more impact, also make more income, obviously. Let everybody know kind of who you are, what you're up to in the world today.
Well, first of all, Eli, man, I feel like a smarter person than I really am with that type of introduction. I mean, like, wow, I'm that guy. But yeah, I've been blessed to work with a lot of amazing individuals, people like Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor, rest in peace, the legend, Les Brown, a lot of influencers online, also celebrities, artists, individuals like that, helping them build, grow, and scale their online presence.
Awesome. And so they've got a personal brand, they've got a business. Obviously, business is a system that provides value. Really cool. And I'm excited. We've met a few times now. We met for the first time and I used to live right by Ty Lopez. We met for the first time at our mutual friend Thaddeus's event over in Berlin, Germany, spoke on the same stage. And I have, of course, seen you, the internet marketing nerd. You've got this brand and you've found a way. So for people listening, let people know what you do specifically. So you've worked with all these legends in the space. As far as marketing, there's a creative aspect, there's a technical aspect, there's a systems aspect. I mean, there's so many ways we could go with this. Sure. But kind of let people know kind of what the day-to-day is. And people are wanting to know things like, how do they get verified? How do they connect with these celebrities? Right. How do they build a brand? How do you get 1 million followers on Instagram? So obviously you've done all that. How do you see this process? What is your day-to-day like? How do you get to this point?
Wow, that's
it's a lot.
Where do we start? Yeah, so basically, I think what we've had a lot of success in doing is finding individuals that already have a certain amount of success. When it comes to marketing, branding, I always tell people, look, if you're not already good at what you're doing, marketing it will only make more people know you're bad at what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's like we amplify what's already going on. So if you're doing a poor job and you hire somebody to do amazing marketing for you, all it's going to do is amplify and tell everybody you're doing a horrible job. So I think one of the first things to do is to discover those individuals that already have a bit of success. They're already accomplishing some level of success. And it's kind of like the diamonds in the rough, the individuals that are doing amazing things, but they just kind of need the proper molding, the proper directions, pointed to them. And that comes into what I like to call the S.O.S method. Every business is crying out S.O.S, and S being systemized, where sometimes people are making money. They're doing good things, but it's just kind of like lucky money. It's like, oh, I made money today. Amazing. Next day, well, I don't know. And it's just kind of like randomly making money. So it's about building systems around that attention that they have, that growing. So building systems that would pull people in and do it while they sleep. You know what I mean? Again, a lot of times people get that lucky money, where it's like they did something like, wow, okay, I'm making money. And it's just random. There's no system. So we build systems. And a lot of times that's incorporating webinars, sales videos, funnels, all of those fun things. And then O is optimize. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of stuff, and it's not always the best thing. Yeah, it's funny because I'll talk with people and ask them, what do you do? And it's, oh, I do this, and 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 this. I'm like, I'm almost exhausted hearing what they're doing. And I understand the reality is when a person is doing a lot of things, chances are they're doing a lot of things average and some things really good. So that's when it comes down to optimizing, is cutting out those things that are just time consuming, not productive, not really beneficial to them. Maybe it's hiring out the things that they're doing that they're not doing the best at, but optimizing. And then once we've got systemized, optimized, we scale. And
it's interesting. I go to so many networking events, and even as it relates to, and for our listeners, people will say, because they want to be more valuable, and it's usually based on insecurity. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a this, and I'm also a chef. And they think they're being more valuable, but they really just sound like somebody who's scattered and all over the place. And so, Napoleon Hill talks about specialized knowledge. So it's like owning this niche, because you can't market to all the niches. It's not scalable. It's about being known for one thing and then using marketing to magnetize it. And I'm, it's for everybody listening, I'm a student of Paul's as well. Because I've never done any marketing, and it's kind of been a claim to fame of mine. Tony Robbins, in conversations with him a long time ago, used to kind of poo-poo on marketing, because there are a lot of people out there that weren't really good at helping people. They were just good at marketing how they help people, because their time and energy went into the marketing
that's a great way to put it.
of helping people instead of actually working on their craft. And so for everybody here, we're going to give you some of these tidbits. Actually, you have to be good at what you do. Otherwise, it's going to come back on you, because even if you're the best in the world, you're going to make some mistakes sometimes, and that can get magnetized, or you might say something out of context. And then, there's a lot of spotlight on you. And, a lot of these celebrities have said something, slipped up, and social media has attacked them, or this, these movements. And so you really have to be conscious, and you're not like, right now, this isn't scripted. And so things are going to come out of you naturally who you are. That's going to get magnetized to the world. And, I think, how do you see, and I've got a few questions here just for myself, because I'm a student of yours, and, we're doing this event together this weekend. We're doing it for everybody listening. We're going to be doing a lot of events together, because I got the sales stuff, you got the marketing stuff, and they work so cohesively. As far as marketing specifically, a lot of people are taught to be, what's the word here? This polarizing. Do you think that helps people market?
Well, so here's the thing. It's funny. I was at an event recently, and we were talking about kind of the similar type of subject. And a guy there asked me the question. He said, how much of these individuals, and he was name dropping, he said, how much do you think is real? And of course, I work very closely with a lot of these big names, and I'm very careful about how, I value those relationships. And so he was really pushing me. He's like, how much you think is real? How much you think is really who they are? And trying to be politically correct, I said, 50%, 50-50, trying to go right down the middle. Later on, he was speaking, and he has millions of views on his videos and stuff. And he told me in his speech, he was saying he makes these videos and about 1 in 11, he will actually post because these other 10 are not good. And so I went to him afterwards. I said, interesting. You said you only post about 1 in 11. Let's just round it off to 10%, 10% of the videos that you actually do. I said, so people only see 10%. They only see the highlight reel. They only see the best of the best. They don't see these other 10 videos where you messed up, where you were rambling, where it wasn't really the best content. So I think that is part of the nature of online, is that people, they emphasize the attributes that bring the most attention. So their giftedness, their talent, you know, a lot of times when people do videos, you don't see how many times they stuttered, they stumbled, they messed up their words. So it's not reality. So yeah, people do emphasize, they polarize, they've got this attribute in them. Like you and I have discussed this before, like, hey, I'm going to make a ridiculous, controversial statement. Nobody's going to believe me about this, but here it goes, boom. And it's it's a shock factor or something like that. And, so they do emphasize on that. But I guess the other extreme is the person that tries to appeal to everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you'll never win doing that either, is trying to appeal to everybody.
Yeah. There's a balance that I think people need to find kind of their voice before they magnetize it. And authenticity, it's dream to be somebody else. Yeah.
Authenticity is so, you can be controversial, you can be polarizing, but you have to be true to who you are, because long term for a person, you can only be that pseudo person for so long. Then you're going to get burnt out trying to put on this facade, this pretend who you are. And granted, people do it all the time, but they probably wrestle with a lot of insecurity and a lot of issues. And there's going to come a point where they're just going to have to be like, okay, this is who I am. And there's for a person that finds that out and realizes that, it's such a freeing thing to be like, okay, this is who I am. You may not like, you may not agree with me, but this is who I am. And I've got issues. You got issues. We all got issues. So it's good.
Were you always into marketing? Kind of, how did you get to this place? So you've worked with all these people. So I got questions. How'd you meet these people? How'd you connect with these people? How'd you get verified? So these are things that I know people want to know. But how did you get to this place as a marketing expert? Did you start off in marketing? Kind of what's your background?
Yeah. So my background, I actually went to college, graduated with a degree in theology, which is a study of God. I went to Bible college, and I graduated from that and found out pretty quickly that a degree in theology wasn't very marketable. I remember filling out resumes and stuff, and like, I got a degree in theology, and people are like, oh, is that the study of rocks? I'm like, no, that's geology. That's geology. But the concept of, I guess my personality is, I do like science and I do like art, which is kind of a unique attribute for people, because a lot of times people are really strong in science and analytics and everything, but the artsy side of things, it's a different type of person. But I've always kind of found myself, I'm artistic. I like to draw. I like art, but I'm also very science minded. So when the internet world became, what it is, and Facebook and these social medias, I found myself playing around with it as just kind of like a hobby. And
what were you doing for work then? Were you working in like a church, or?
I was doing whatever I could to get the bills paid.
A lot of us have been there.
I was delivering phone books. I was sales position. So right at this point, before I kind of like jumped into internet marketing. I was working at a, man, you can't tell anybody this. I was a telemarketer. And I was a telemarketer for a merchant processing company, which basically you call up businesses and you pitch them on why your merchant processing service is better than the one they're using, and you try to pull them over as a client. That's what I was doing. And it's funny because even as a teenager, I found myself doing telesales. And looking back, and it's probably a good thing. Nobody, I don't, know people that, no disrespect to anybody that's doing telemarketing, but most people don't say, hey, when I grow up, I want to be a telemarketer. Yeah. But I found myself at an early age, like 15, 16 years old in high school doing telemarketing. So I learned a lot of interpersonal skills, and I learned marketing. I learned sales in doing that. But I was working for this merchant processing company, and the guy there was he's a big jerk. The owner of the company, he'd come in yelling at people, screaming, and just made a really toxic environment. And at this time, I was playing around with building websites for companies, search engine optimization. And like on my lunch break, I was calling up businesses and talking to them, hey, you need a website and things like that. And so I was doing it kind of as a side hustle. One day, this guy came in just yelling and screaming, and everybody was sick of it. And so I went up to him. I'm, you know me, I'm kind of a low key. I'm not a highly confrontational type person. I went up to him. I said, trying to be polite, hey man, I don't know if you realize it, but you're really upsetting a lot of people here at the workplace by this anger and this attitude that you're coming in. It gets people upset and stuff. And well, he was not the guy to receive something. I remember him poking me in the chest. He's like, Paul, if you keep talking to me like that, you're going to lose your job. And I was like, well, here we go. I think I'm done. And I quit and started playing around. And I found myself like, I have to go all in on this internet, making money, building websites and stuff.
Is that where it started? Building sites, creating funnels?
Yeah, I was building websites, and you say funnel. There wasn't. This was
about
like,
what year? What year?
Let's see. That was probably around 2008.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So it was early in, maybe even before that, maybe 2007. And so businesses were just now beginning to adopt websites, and social media was just beginning to be.
As MySpace was big.
Yeah. It was that type of stuff.
And then Facebook. That's right when Facebook started to pop.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine go off to college, and they said, Paul, you need to get on Facebook. I'm like, what is this Facebook stuff? And I got on, and if you remember the early days, it was a lot of games. It was like Farmville and all these. And I remember jumping on, setting up a profile, and I was like, man, I don't have time for this. This is a waste of time. But one of the things I saw is businesses were starting to put Facebook pages. So it was a little restaurant here, a few little businesses in town were putting up Facebook pages to promote their business. So I decided, hey, I'll put up one for our church. Put up a Facebook page for our church. And I remember it was a couple of weeks later, I went to church, and there was this new family there. And I went up to them like, hey, how'd you hear about us? And they said, oh, we saw you on that Facebook page. I said, really? And it was like a light bulb went off. Whoa, these are real people that came from Facebook. So I realized that it was an opportunity for businesses to really reach people by building Facebook pages and putting out social media content. This is before the days like everybody and their mom is a social media marketer now. That phrase and that term, social media marketing agency, did not even exist then. Internet marketing is like those terms were not even coined then. But I started doing that, and I started doing it for local businesses, mom and pop restaurants and stuff. And I guess you could say one thing led to another.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's interesting. It's kind of how Ty Lopez started. And then you helped Ty kind of build his thing using social media. Like he used the process, and he's got, his story, and, he did it. Then you helped him market all of that. You figured some things out in the social media marketing. And from there, how did you begin to get clients?
Right. Well, it did start out with, again, the little guys, the mom and pop restaurants, and the, just basic business owners.
Did you reach out to them? Did you call them? Did you?
So I'll tell you what I did is, when Facebook first started, when you would set up a Facebook page, there was an option that you could click a button and it would say, grow your page now. And you would click the button and it would auto generate this bot-driven ad. It looked horrible. And I knew it performed poorly because I was playing around with the ad manager system. Facebook actually, because I was playing around with it so much, they brought me on as a beta tester for their ad platform. So I had features available to me and everything like that they have. Matter of fact, when you would log on to my Facebook, I remember I was logging on one day and one of my friends said, why does your Facebook look like that? I'm like, oh, Facebook has me testing stuff for them. He's like, well, that's strange. So businesses, when they'd start a Facebook page, they'd have this button that you would click this button and it would auto generate a Facebook ad for them to help them grow their page. So what I would do is I'd be scrolling through Facebook and I would see this ad that was auto generated, and I would click on it and I would go to the business and I would say, hey, I see you running ads. How's that going for you? And I already knew what I could do. And they said, oh, it's going good. I was like, well, if you don't mind me asking, what type of results are you getting? And they're like, I'm getting about 20 followers a day. And I'm like, how much are you spending? Oh, about $20, $25. So I knew then that they were spending about $1 a follower.
Yeah.
Well, how I was doing it with Facebook pages ads, I could get them a follower for a penny. Better follower, better quality, better targeted, and a penny. And so I would say to them, well, awesome. Well, I think I can get you, for $20, I think I can get you 200 followers instead of 20 followers. No, it's not possible. I don't think so. I'm like, well, let me do 2 days for free. Well, obviously that only cost me a couple dollars to do it. Yeah. And it would get better quality and I would show them results and I would get hired. So next thing you know, I'm running this guy's stuff for $20 a day. So I could get on certain situations, I could get 10 followers for a penny. Wow. So in some situations, I spend 10 cents and I pocket the rest of it, get them much better results. So after doing that, I would endlessly scroll, find people and just do that every day. Well, after about a month or so, I've got 20 clients that are paying me anywhere from $20 to $50 to $100 a day to run their ads. I'm getting them better results. And so I'm making good money. I'm going from, barely making it to got 20 clients. I'm in a short time making 6 figures. So it was a big leap for me.
That's amazing. And so you just did manual outreach to these people. It's just, like cold messaging. Said, hey, Absolutely. Let me see how I can lead with value. Here's what I can do for you, all that. And you built this up. And then from there, you created your own company. Like you hired some people on, you had kind of your own agency before anybody else was doing it. So much has changed and is continuing to change in this industry. But you created a brand for yourself. And from there, you got known. How did you connect with people like Ty, Grant? How did you get some of these bigger name celebrities? And you were getting them on their come up,
Yeah. So I'll give you an example with Ty Lopez. I was doing work for a guy in Los Angeles doing lead generation for him. And one day he went to the barber shop and was sitting down talking to the barber. And the barber's asking, like, how's things going? He's going, it's going great, amazing. He's like, I got this kid over in Florida that he's been doing this internet marketing stuff and generating leads for us so fast and cheap and everything like that. He's just really bragging about us. Well, the next person to sit in the barber chair was Ty Lopez. And so the conversation started, numbers were exchanged, and a couple days later, someone on Ty's team was calling me up. It was Ty's brother, Ben, called me up, and he was asking me questions. And again, during this point where Ty was, there was a lot of emphasis in growing your Facebook page. Well, I was the guy. I was building Facebook pages. I'd built a Facebook page from 0 to 1 million in 1 or 2 months. It was just, I knew how to do it. That was my science. And so I remember them calling me up, asking me questions about what I was doing, how I was doing it. And I kind of like used the same script that I would do for cold outreach. Well, tell me what you're doing. Oh yeah. Yep. Well, I think I can get a lot better results. No, that's impossible. Yeah. Give me a shot. And so that was kind of the long and short of that conversation. A few minutes later, they called me back up like, can you fly out here tomorrow? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll fly out there tomorrow. And so I found myself sitting in Ty Lopez's office. And I remember Ty, I showed him screenshots of things that I was doing. I had this it was the version 1 iPad. You remember the first iPad?
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool because I was doing a high-tech presentation, had this iPad in my hand. I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do and everything like that. And this is what I've done. And I remember he told me, he's like, Paul, I think I could probably figure this out, but I don't want to waste my time trying to figure it out. When can you start? I was like, well, let me go back to my hotel and I'll start things up tonight. And so that was kind of the beginning of the relationship with Ty Lopez. And we've been blessed to help him do just about every course, run ads for all of his courses, help build things like Mentor Box and a lot of his personal branding and coaching programs and things like that. Work with Dr. Alex Mayer. And I think from there, it was kind of like a domino effect. Remember, I was sitting at a conference one time and this guy was talking. He was like, anybody see what this guy, Ty Lopez, he's popping up all over the place. His stuff is growing so quickly. He's like, I don't know what he's doing. I've been trying to find out. I've been asking people, but he's not telling anybody what he's doing. I remember I had a friend that was sitting next to me, started elbowing me. He's like, Paul, this guy's talking about you. You're the one doing all Ty Lopez's stuff. So I went up to the guy afterwards. I said, well, I'm working with Ty Lopez, been working with him for some time now. He's like, I've been calling him up. I've been trying to find out. And he's been tight-lipped about everything that he's doing. He's not telling anybody what he was doing. And so I guess the cat got out of the bag there. And it was somewhat like one person after another. Les Brown, Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor, the people started reaching out to me. Hey, what are you doing? Tell me more. And
they heard about you. They heard about you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. When did you create the Internet Marketing Nerd? Like, when did this own personal brand? Because it's memorable, and you got the bow tie on always. And
yeah. I sleep with the bow tie. I mean, it's I always tell people, I say the glasses are necessity, the bow tie is fashion. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
But so I didn't always wear a bow tie. I think the nerd, it's more than a brand. It's who I am. I mean, you see my office. I love Marvel. I love superheroes. I love comics. I got a comic book collection. I've always been a nerd. That's not a persona. That's reality. And but I didn't always wear the bow tie. I remember one time.
You tie that, or is it a clip-on? Are you tied?
It's the tied bow tie. It's a tied bow tie.
It's a real bow tie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
So, so I didn't always wear the bow tie. I used to wear just a regular tie, and in addition, typically my jackets, plaid, kind of bolder, stated. I mean, I like the style. Years ago, I used to wear like two-tone shoes. I remember I had a pair of brown and tan uh, I hate to call them like bowling shoes, but they look like bowling shoes. They were fashionable bowling looking shoes. But I remember one time I was, I met one of my friends and I was wearing these shoes. I had the jacket and I had a regular tie. He's like, bro, man, you look so much like a nerd. He's like, you just need a bow tie. He's like, if you had a bow tie, you would be full on nerd. And so the next time I saw him, I wore a bow tie. And of course, we both laughed about it and everything like that. And he's like, honestly, I think it looks good. And I don't know what happened that day, but we had, I don't know, it was like an amazing day on business or something like that. And we both joked around about it. It was like, it was the bow tie. The bow tie brought us good luck. And so ever since then, I've worn a bow tie.
Yeah, it's memorable. And I think with a lot of the brands, they do something to differentiate themselves in the market so they become memorable. And a lot of people have read that book. I love that book by Seth Godin about purple cows. It's like if you went to the water cooler on Monday morning and you saw one purple cow in a field of brown ones, you would mention it. It would be remarkable. You would make a remark about it, and that would spread. And so it's like, as people are scrolling, our attention spans are so tight. I think even for myself, you can see here I got this real night in the background, and I figured as people are scrolling on my Facebook, all that, and I bought a car with red interior, so I'm in the car, and it's just it's like we're always trying to get people's attention a little bit. It's something else that's unique. Just gets people there a millisecond longer. So that's cool. I think everybody needs to kind of find that for themselves. For your business today, you've obviously got a process to help people market. You've got an agency. Kind of what does your business look like today as far as like, what do you do for people? How does it work? How do you provide results that have been so consistent across the board?
Yeah. So our ideal client is an individual that is already getting started, having some level of success. And then one of the things that we've been really good at is keeping a pulse on the market of what's working, because the model of acquiring clients 2 years ago has changed from what it is today. So there's always kind of an evolution of acquiring clients when it comes to systems. I know years ago, it used to be a 2-hour webinar was pretty common. Then it kind of shrunk down to 90 minutes, then 60 minutes. And now we're seeing 15-minute mini webinars. So we help find the idea system. It's kind of like this. A lot of times people ask this question, like, so what do you do for clients? Well, the number one thing that we have to do is determine what is best for them. There's never really one cookie cutter, one size fits all, because every industry, every niche, there might be common principles, but the approach and the way that you capture clients is going to vary a little bit differently based upon that audience, that person, what they already have existing. It's kind of like going to a personal trainer and, they try to give you the same diet, the same workout plan and everything like that. Yeah, you may get some results from it, but the ideal results is being able to look at that person, that individual, see what their metabolism is like, see what their genetics are, their diet and everything like that. So the same thing can be said about a business owner, a coach, a consultant, a business, is that we kind of look at who they are, what they're doing, what they already have existing, and then we make it better. And so build that proper system. And one of our key strengths is paid traffic. We do hundreds of millions of dollars a year in all the paid platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Google. And
you do media buying. And then you help organize that. You make the funnels, the ads, the videos, that process. And so like for everybody here, there's brands even like Tesla, there's Elon Musk, there's Tesla, there's Steve Jobs, there's Apple. So how important is it to have a personal brand inside of your brand? It's like these two coexisting brands.
So one of the things I wish it was something that I would have invested in sooner is my personal brand, because I've had the agency for years. going back 2007, 2008. But this personal brand was something relatively new. And I said within the past 2-3 years, the value of a personal brand is it's not exclusive to one particular industry, vertical, or offer. So what I mean by that is a personal brand. Look, if I want to be a coach, a consultant, I can do that. If I want to be a speaker, I can do that. If I want to be an author, I can do that. If I want to run an agency, I can do that. If I want to endorse this product, this business, there's so much more flexibility and value in a personal brand. I kind of look at individuals like Shaq, who has really mastered the art of personal brand. You know what I mean? Some people may not realize this, but he actually used to be a professional basketball player. But now he's the spokesperson for General's car insurance, Frosted Flakes, fungus cream. I mean, just anything. It's like every time I go to Walgreens, I'm like, Shaq, what are you doing now? So it's kind of like, but that's the value of a personal brand, is that when you have built a strong, trustworthy, personal brand, is that people will want to partner and connect with you because they see value in your face, your brand, your image that can elevate their product or service.
I struggle with it because I see what Tony's done, and Tony's got his company. So it's interesting when you look at somebody like Tony Robbins, because that is company. But this is Tony Robbins' company. So the company, like if he doesn't show up at the events or he's not there, it's not the same. And then, he can never really sell that business. But he's used that. He owns 105 different companies. Yeah. So it's like you almost need both.
I think so. Yeah. It's hard when you build, say my agency, for example, it runs autonomous of me. I've got an amazing team of brilliant individuals that manage it. And I spend, a small amount of time in that. But from a client acquisition basis, I have clients that come to our agency because of my face, because of my personal brand, because of who I am, my reputation. So it is kind of difficult for me to compartmentalize my agency and my personal brand. But by me growing my personal brand, I can tell you, I find myself just like my mind blown sometimes, because I've been given such unique opportunities where individuals partner with me and give me equity in companies and stuff just because of my personal brand. So my agency has been the fuel for many years, but the personal brand, it has just grown its own life on itself.
Yeah. So we have people listening that obviously want to market, they want to brand, personal brand, business, they want to generate revenue. What are the common mistakes that you see people make? So we talked about not being authentic. We talked about not different and just not being good at what they do. What are the actual mistakes, technical? What are people consistently that you see doing wrong? With the end goal of obviously generating revenue, building a sustainable business. So outside of actually being good at what you do, what are some of the more tactical mistakes that you see people making?
So I think that every business goes through this evolution where there is an initial motivation. Their motivating factor is make money, which sounds like the right thing to do. I got to make money. Well, there's a danger in that being your primary focus, to make money, because it can lead you directions that is not sincerely who you are and what the real purpose and mission is. So when you can realign things from just making money to serving and helping people, adding value to who they are, the making money comes. I remember when COVID first hit, that I had a lot of coaching students and clients reach out to me in this frantic, this panic mode. Like, what are we going to do? Is it, and you being a salesperson, I'm sure you can understand this. that there was this question, should we continue selling? You know what I mean? And I completely understood the dynamic of that question. Should we keep selling? Because the whole world just came to a pause when COVID hit, and people were laid off jobs, and you never wanted to come across as insensitive or, being, taking advantage of people. You never wanted to come across that way. So a lot of people had that question. They were asking me, should we continue to sell? Should we keep doing this? And I thought about it for a moment, and my response was this: are you helping people? Are you serving people? If the answer is no, then yeah, by all means, stop selling. But if you are really helping and serving people, then continue. Matter of fact, if you weren't really helping and serving people, you should have stopped a long time ago. And we see that this COVID kind of shook up a lot of businesses, and it brought the real people to the top. But when you can help and when you can serve people, and you put that as your priority versus just making money, everything else will just begin to fall in place. So I think that's probably one, a big, maybe a core foundation about some businesses where it's money driven versus purpose and serving driven. And I confess I've been guilty of doing that. And there is such a greater gratification in being able to serve people and not just make money. I think that's one core issue. Many businesses, whether they would like to admit it or not, it's a big issue.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like in 2008, when the economy shifted, I was working, around Tony, and that company shifted massively. But that's when the company really blew up. Even for myself, when COVID hit, a lot of people knew me, but I never made any direct offers, and I wasn't doing marketing, but social media marketing organically. I just posted on Facebook because of what was happening. It's like, I create a masterclass called How to Sell in Times of Crisis. Here's what you do. Here's what people's minds are. And I had like 100 people sign up for it for $97. But then I made an offer on it, a direct offer, showing people, I just showed people exactly what I did. It's like, and I can show you how to do the same. It's 3 hours. And I made a high ticket offer, and 81 people bought it on the spot. So I made like multi six figures in, a couple hours, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then we just systematized it, and I massively up-leveled my income. But, it's like, I provided a lot of value for years, never made me ask. And so I think we need to make offers. We need to add value. And I think for a lot of people, the fear is if I give away my best stuff, people won't buy, but they're buying support, community, system, process. So we have a unique branded system that only we have. And I think each person needs to create that. And so you're marketing, so I market myself, but I also market the system. Like on the sales stuff, we have Eli Wild, which isn't even my real name. It's Eli Will Hide. And it's interesting because you have this, theology background. Eli means, God in a lot of these names, but it's like God will hide is my name. And so because my name's Eli Will Hide. And I changed it to Wild. I love Oscar Wilde. I just like the name Wild. And so I thought like this creative force, this love, this energy, God energy could be like wildly influential at, permeating the thoughts and minds and hearts of other people to make them more influential and kind of have this tantric relationship of energy with other people being more influential and spreading the good. So that's kind of how I've, eternalized this name and getting people to create an identity around them as a salesperson, as a marketer. And, with a personal brand, you kind of get this opportunity to create this, like you've created the internet marketing nerd, this perception that gets attention, that's remarkable. And you have a unique branded system. So there's me, the person, and then me, the process, which is our unique branded system. And so it's getting those two pieces. I see the person, the messenger, and the message. And so how do we, consistently get that in people's minds? Because, and you know this better than anybody, it's getting quite saturated in the space. And so it used to be, I think Chet Holmes mentioned this, that to get somebody to buy, it took a certain amount of impressions, like 7 or 35. And now it's like, there's is so many impressions that people need to have to just kind of break through. You've been able to break through. These people that you mentioned have been able to break through. how can people speed up the process of breaking through, being more impressionable without spending like $1 billion a month on
Sure.
marketing? So there needs to be repetition. So they need to see it a few times. How do we stand out? How do we differentiate ourselves? How does somebody with a marketing process that's working okay, what do they need to do to have more effective marketing? And I know there's a lot there.
Yeah.
What are some things that you see?
No, so I think it comes down to a couple words. One of those words being disruptive. Now, here's the danger about being disruptive is like I have people may not realize this, but there are systems that are working in the internet marketing space that I was literally the first person to do it. Literally the first person to do this type of ad, literally the first person to build this funnel. And it was worked amazing. So here's the thing about disruptive. It's basically when you're scrolling or when you're looking at something, it's that purple cow. You know what I mean? It's that purple cow, like, whoo, it disrupts your attention, your thought, and everything like that. Well, here's the problem is when you start to do that and people see something disruptive, they're like, oh man, that's awesome. That works great. Then they start doing it. And then their friends start doing it. And then everybody else starts doing it. And then when you're scrolling, guess what? It's no longer disruptive. It's no longer disruptive. So there is a certain amount of staying ahead of the curve. Yeah. So trying to find the next disruptive element, the next disruptive style of ad, next disruptive funnel, the thing that keeps people's attention.
So some of that's the opportunity. Like social media marketing was hot. Then e-com stores, Amazon is starting to die off. Being a high ticket salesperson, like Dan Locke did that. And then, me and some friends did that. And so there's always these emerging trends.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is you need to stay ahead of the curve to be disruptive.
Yeah.
What are some questions people could ask themselves? Do you think, how does somebody become disruptive? And I know that the classic, just for, I love taking these concepts and breaking them down to frameworks. And so a typical NLP pattern is, it's not this, it's that, and here's what that means. And so if I can stack meaning on top of this, so it's not X, it's Y. And so, hey, for all of you who are doing this isn't it, it's this. And I'm going to add proof to this stack. Like what you're doing isn't working. You need to do this, and here's why. So I can stack the level of time, energy, and attention they focus on this. And anything that you typically give time, energy, and attention to will influence you. And so I want to make sure that when I communicate in sales, ask questions, or the way I show up, there's a certain amount of energy, emotion that brands people, brands their consciousness to create a connection to me. So being unique, controlling the frame, doing something that is, even is just, there's a variance. So even when I talk, I'll change my tonality, all this type stuff that is to manufacture. So like movement creates attention. So even if I'm moving in my videos versus it's more dynamic. And so some of that's the performance base, but even if I talk, so if my marketing, if we're like thousands of years ago in the cave and something moves, we have to pay attention to it because it could mean danger.
Right.
So, but if I'm talking about movements in marketing, movements in sales, here's the trend that we're noticing. I even talk about movement. People are forced to pay attention. And if I talk about it as I'm moving, it manufactures focus in a different way. And I can emotionalize that. And so there's got to be this sense of consistent branding to a unique process in a disruptive way. And so I'm always thinking like, what are the frameworks that I can think through to become systematically disruptive in all of my communication that manufactures focus, and then I can pull people through my process and my funnel and then sell them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm unpacking.
Yeah. So a couple of different things. I think you can, I love the way the psychology, the science of how you break things down, because it makes a really abstract thing like, oh, wow, breaks it down into like little pieces where you understand how it has become successful. And I think one of the words that comes to my mind when you said that is almost unpredictable. You know what I mean? Unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's like a good movie. A good movie. Like, I hate to sit down and watch a movie. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. He's going to die. She's going to run off with him. And it's just like, it's so predictable. It's like, you don't want to watch it. But something that really captures you is when you sit down, you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen. And like, oh, it didn't. And you got my attention because it's unpredictable. So a personal brand, there's a story to it that, like you said, it keeps moving. It keeps moving. And if you see something and it continues to move one direction without any type of variance, it loses people's attention. So I've used a process I call ICE. ICE, and I is that initial introduction, where if you look on a lot of these big personal brands, big names, there was a moment where they were introduced to the world. Here in my garage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
10X. There's a moment of introduction where it appeals to their target audience in a way that makes an impact that is memorable. So there's that introduction. It's a sizzle video. It's just a powerful ad. It's something that really resonates and connects with people. So there's that boom, that splash, that introduction. That's an investment process. It's not always a direct ROI from it. I can tell you all of these big name people, they had an introduction where they were investing in their personal brand and there wasn't an immediate direct ROI in that. No. And then there's the C. C is that content where you are actually indoctrinating, you're discipling, you are connecting and educating and instilling your values and your process into the people that you want to follow, that you want to follow you. So that's adding value, that's serving them, that's giving to them. And again, it may be there's not an immediate. Sometimes we do see an ROI in that phase, but then the next I see the E is when you engage them. You engage them in a transaction. You engage them in that's where you start to see your ROI. There used to be a day where you put an ad out and it's engaged. This is what I got. Buy it. People don't do that anymore. It's a process. It's an ICE. It's a introduction. It's a content giving value. And then you have permission at that point, people start to say, what do you got? I want to buy something from you. Yeah. Give it to me. And they're asking you to sell something to them.
Introduction, content, engage.
Yes.
I like that. When I was doing sales,
ICE baby.
ICE baby. I had a ICE acronym that I would use a lot, just in my own consciousness. I would, it was ICE, interest, confirmation, expansion. So are you interested in improving your sales process? Confirmation. Well, that's exactly what this does. As you really look at some of your objection handling and you begin to notice how ineffective it is, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to easily convert. So I'm going to make it emotional with the expansion of it. Are you interested? Confirm, expand, where I would paint a picture in their mind.
Eli is this guy like just ninja, like looking at me. I'm like, I'm ready to buy, Eli. What do you want to sell me?
Yeah, thanks. It's interesting. Marketing is typically a one-way street, ads, all of that. And it's new for me. And, we're doing a lot of virtual events and all of that. And I demand people put their camera on because a lot of it for me is responding to what's there.
Yeah.
Using that because that affects me and I can see if it's landing, if it's not. With marketing, it's one way, and you put out the copy, you put out the ad, you put out the video, and it's like you have to test. You have to get feedback, And a lot of times what we think is good. And, I was speaking to Ty Lopez, because I lived by him, and I think it's Jeremy Van Dyke. We were hanging out one day, and he said that he was in the garage with Ty. They had $100,000 worth of camera equipment. They were filming stuff. And then, then Ty was just like frustrated and just grabbed his camera. Here in my garage, it's, fun to drive in the Hollywood Hills. Yeah. But I'm more excited about these books. What got me from here, from living in a trailer park, having this Lamborghini, being in Hollywood Hills, having my house? Knowledge. Yeah. It's like, there's the hook. And it's like, it's a lot of people spoofed and poo-pooed on it, whatever, but it got like a bajillion views and made lots of money.
Introduction.
And it's initial impact different. It's like, how did I get this? So it's a direct link, cause effect pattern. What created this was knowledge.
Yeah.
And then the story, because it wasn't always that way. $47 trailer park couch. It's like indoctrinating you into like him and his brand, and it's creating all this curiosity. And it's that is an anomaly what he did, but there's a lot that we can study from that. Yeah. So that's good. I will be respectful of your time. We've already gone a little past what we usually do, but is there any question as it relates to marketing, making an impact, making ourselves known, doing it the right way? Is there any question that I didn't ask you that you think I should have asked, or anything else that we could share with folks that could probably help them on their journey?
Yes. If people want to know my bank account number to send a wire,
yes,
you can ask me that. My PayPal address, my Zelle, my Cash App. Yeah, you can ask me any of that, man. I think you forgot to ask me that. No, man, you're a brilliant interviewer, and I love just the energy and who you are. I mean, likewise. You're a fun person.
Yeah. For everybody listening, Paul, because I'm so fascinated with the marketing, it's new for me. And I love the sales stuff. So we're doing a series of events together. So we'll put some content in the show notes. But, so you're going to continue to see stuff from us together as we do events together. And kind of most people, it's like, even with the sales process, when people sell and I see people do a presentation, it's kind of like this amazing presentation they do. And then they do a sales presentation at the end. It's like 2 presentations and it gets weird. And that's people's marketing and sales as well. There's the influencer doing all this stuff, and they got some hard closer on the phone. Yeah. Like for Tony's brand, he's got great content, and there'd be like kind of these douchey salespeople. When I signed up for Tony's thing, it was really hard for me to sign up because the quality of the salespeople that were enrolling me, they were like talking about how I need to be more successful. They were wearing, $50 suits and like, $50 shoes, and telling me they were hard closing me. It was so hard for me to sell. And I saw that problem for Tony's brand. When I started working for Tony, I decided to take that on. And so we've created some processes that make this alignment, because the money is where you get, the money comes in the sales, but it starts in the marketing.
Yeah, that's so smart. I remember when you were at our mastermind and you said that, and it's so true. Like, people do 2 presentations, and I've probably been guilty of doing that many times. Like, do my presentation, like, oh, okay, now I'm going to sell you something. You know what I mean? It's just like you lose your flow and everything like that because you're apprehensive about selling. But I think when you understand that selling is helping, I'm helping people. Like a good sell, people like say, thank you for taking my money. And they feel good about it because they know, obviously you got to deliver on what you sold, but I think that is such a smart thing to understand.
Awesome. Paul, where can folks find out more about you?
Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Paul, just Paul. Paul.
Yeah, that's amazing. You got just Paul. So I'm a follower there. I see your stuff. Absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for taking this time.
Anybody that listened to the show and they want more information, just follow me on Instagram and text me the word Eli, and I'll know they're from this show and I'll hook them up.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I've seen that process. That's phenomenal what you've created with the DM. So yeah, everybody check this out. DM him now, and you will immediately learn some processes that you need to install in your business. You will see a very advanced model. And so some of you smart ones will want to model the same process. So anyway, thank you so much. And for everybody here listening, welcome again to the Everything is Influence podcast. This has been an amazing episode. And until the next time, we'll see you very, very soon. Take care.